6 months after walking out of his marriage. Richard Gray, the man New York called the most ruthless CEO, was preparing to close the biggest deal of his career, but destiny had other plans. On a frosty winter afternoon, inside a quiet cafe, Richard's confident hands froze around his coffee cup. Just a few steps away stood his ex-wife, Emily, holding a baby whose eyes looked hauntingly familiar. For the first time in years, Richard's world stopped. Richard Gray was a man of power. At 38, tall, polished, commanding, he had built his empire from scratch. He had wealth, influence, respect, everything, except the one thing he once valued most. His marriage. His divorce from Emily 6 months earlier had been Manhattan's biggest whisper. They were college sweethearts, admired by all, but pride and distance had broken them apart. Richard drowned himself in work. Emily, heartbroken, disappeared quietly into Brooklyn, away from the world of billionaires and headlines. She wanted nothing but love and presence, something Richard had stopped giving long ago. That day at the cafe, their eyes met. Time seemed to hold its breath. Emily clutched the baby closer. Richard rose slowly, his voice tight. "Emily, whose child is that?" Her lips trembled. "She's mine, Richard. Mine." His chest constricted. That dimple, those blue eyes. It couldn't be coincidence. Richard stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. Is she mine?" Emily turned toward the door, but Richard caught up, his voice breaking for the first time in years. "Please, don't walk away again." Emily's eyes filled with pain. "You walked away first, when all I wanted was you?" The words hit him harder than any business loss. For once, he wasn't a CEO, he was just a man who had failed the woman he loved. Richard looked at the child again, his voice cracked. "If she's ours, please, Emily, I need to know." Her tears slipped free. "Yes, she's yours. Her name is Grace." Richard nearly collapsed into a chair. His daughter, his blood, a child he didn't even know existed. He reached forward with trembling hands, touching Grace's tiny fingers. When she instinctively wrapped them around his thumb, something inside him shattered. For the first time in years, the ruthless CEO had no control, only regret. "I should have been there," he whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" Emily's voice shook. "Because you weren't the man who would have cared. I couldn't let Grace grow up fighting for your attention the way I did." Richard couldn't argue. She was right. He had failed her. But now, he begged for a chance. "Then let me prove it. Let me be her father." What followed wasn't a fairy tale. Emily didn't forgive easily. She kept her distance. But Richard wasn't the same man anymore. He stopped hiding in boardrooms. He began showing up with groceries, diapers, and sometimes just himself. He stayed late rocking Grace to sleep, whispering lullabies no one thought he knew. Slowly, Emily saw something she had never seen before: patience. One snowy evening, she found Richard fast asleep on her couch, baby Grace resting on his chest. For the first time in months, her heart softened. Maybe people really could change. Weeks later, at his company's glittering charity gala, Richard shocked everyone. Standing on stage, he set aside his speech. "This year, I won't talk about profits. I want to talk about second chances. True success isn't in building empires, it's in family. Tonight, I dedicate everything I have to my daughter, Grace, and to the woman who gave me the gift of being her father." The audience went silent. Cameras flashed, but Richard only saw Emily and the tear rolling down her cheek. Not of pain, but of hope. Afterward, he didn't beg for forgiveness. He simply kissed Grace on the forehead and whispered, "I'll keep showing up, for as long as it takes." Emily looked at him for a long moment. Her voice was soft, cautious, but open. "Then don't stop." And so began a new chapter. Not perfect, not instant, but real. 6 months after divorce had broken them apart, a child had brought them together again. Because sometimes, life doesn't hand you a second chance at love. It gives you a reason to create one. Moral: true success isn't measured by wealth, but by the relationships we fight to keep. Asterisk.